Tole, and I am part of the mentorship project at Open Studio. I've got my guests here today. We're going to be talking about the fourth industrial revolution and IoT devices, a continuation of the other episode that we just did last week. But now let's just introduce our guests again so that if you haven't seen what we did, at least you'll know who they are. So your name is Conrad, right? Lobsha from ManMakeMachine. I'm just going to introduce you guys quickly so we can move on to the clip. Matthew Tate and Sidwell Williams, right? Yeah. Hi guys, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Okay, cool. So guys, we're actually going to watch a clip real quick so that we can actually understand what IoT is, which is the Internet of Things. And then after that, we're going to discuss the devices that are on the table and the clip. So yeah, see you soon.
The Internet of Things is changing much about the world we live in, from the way we drive to how we make purchases, and even how we get energy for our homes. Sophisticated sensors and chips are embedded in the physical things that surround us, each transmitting valuable data that lets us better understand how these things work and work together. But how exactly do all these devices share such large quantities of data, and how do we put that information to work? Whether we're improving the production of a factory, giving city residents real-time updates on where to park, or monitoring our personal health, it's the common Internet of Things platform that brings this diverse information together and provides the common language for the devices and apps to communicate with each other. The process starts with the devices themselves, which securely communicate with an Internet of Things platform. This platform integrates the data from many devices and applies analytics to share the most valuable data with applications that address industry-specific needs. Let's start with a simple example, a car. After taking a long road trip, Rebecca notices that her check engine light has come on. She knows that she needs to have her car looked at by a mechanic, but is not sure whether it's something minor or something that needs immediate attention. As it turns out, the sensor that triggered Rebecca's check engine light monitors the pressure in her brake line. This sensor is one of many monitoring processes throughout the car, which are constantly communicating with each other. A component in the car called the diagnostic bus gathers the data from all these sensors, then passes it to a gateway in the car. The gateway integrates and sorts the data from the sensors. This way, only the most relevant diagnostic information will be transmitted to the manufacturer's platform. But before sending this organized data, the car's gateway and platform must first register with each other and confirm a secure communication. The platform is constantly gathering and storing thousands of bits of information from Rebecca's car and hundreds of thousands of cars like hers, building an historical record in a secure database. The manufacturer has added rules and logic to the platform. So when Rebecca's car sends a signal that her brake fluid has dropped below a recommended level, the platform triggers an alert in her car. The manufacturer also uses the platform to create and manage applications that solve specific issues. In this case, the manufacturer can deploy an application on the platform called the Asset Management System. This application oversees all of their customers' cars on the road, as well as all the parts in their warehouses. It uses the data from Rebecca's car to offer her a potential appointment time to service her car, directions to the nearest certified dealer, and a coupon for the service. What's more, the app will ensure that Rebecca's brakes are covered under her warranty, that the correct replacement part is ordered, and then sent to the dealership so it is ready when she arrives. But the manufacturer's analysis does not stop there. They have also deployed a continuous engineering application that tracks not only Rebecca's car, but hundreds of thousands of others, looking for ways to improve the design and manufacturing process of the car itself. If the same problem in her brake line crops up in a critical number of other cars, the manufacturer uses applications custom-built for the automobile industry to pinpoint the exact problem. They can see if these cars were made at the same factory, used the same parts, or came off the assembly line on the same day. So what do all these pieces add up to? Streamlined inventory management for the dealer, a better, safer car from the manufacturer. And for Rebecca, it means she can be back on the road faster and get to where she's going safely. All thanks to the Internet of Things.
So guys, that was a short insert about IoT devices and what exactly that is, which is IoT, which is Internet of Things, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, I think I'm right. So, Sidwell, tell me more about yourself. Who you are, and real quick.
I'm a lecturer primarily at CPUT, that's the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, out in Cape Town. Basically, I lecture on the IT department, do some programming part-time, and I'm part of the Bequest company, basically. Yeah. So that's basically what I do.
Okay, cool. Matthew, tell me a bit about yourself.
I'm a systems engineer / just about to finish my studies. I work with Conrad and yourself.
Yep.
For the past 2 or 3 years, I've been focused, starting with the hardware on IoT devices, then moving through to the software side of the servers, etc. Networks, learning some networks from Conrad. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Conrad, bit about yourself.
Hi. So my background is, well, I studied computer science and electronics engineering, and then went on to figure out how I can afford an internet connection, which I couldn't. Back then, an internet connection cost 5 times as much as my rent. So I figured if I can on-sell it to share it with at least 10 other people, and we split the costs, then I could afford it. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years, and now I just want to teach other people to do that. So this was how I learned about the entrepreneurship and how the economy works, how money works, how business works, and also the importance of infrastructure and the power of the internet. I learned almost everything that I know on the internet in some way.
Yeah. So pretty much, how did you start it? You asked some of your next door neighbors where you were staying and to share your own connection, and then they would pretty much pay you.
Yet. I couldn't even afford to get a connection.
Okay.
1 month would have bankrupted me.
Wow.
So I went door to door, saying that I'm from this internet company, and do they want internet for? Back then it was 300 Rand a month. The connection cost 2,500 Rand a month.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. So Sidwell, I know you're from Bequest, right?
That's correct.
And you guys built a cryptocurrency wallet.
That's right.
You're going to tell us more about that a
Yes. You earlier on you mentioned about the fifth industrial revolution.
Yeah.
In lots of ways, my idea of that revolution is really cryptocurrency. Because if we give the power of finances to everybody, we stand a good chance of actually alleviating lots of the problems associated with our modern world. Remember, we still have a lot of poverty in the world, we still have a lot of inequality in the world. And cryptocurrencies, in a long way, can go to start alleviating those problems.
Those problems,
Yeah, so that is primarily been my focus. It's really just to kind of get economic freedom, really, to as many people as possible, and hopefully with this Bequest wallet that I'm producing, it will go some way to alleviate that problem.
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, we actually have to go to an ad break quickly. After the ad break, we're actually going to discuss that clip specifically, and then we're going to start talking about the devices on the table here, which look really awesome. And yeah, let's see you after the break. And guys, we are back from that awesome break. We're here chilling with some guys called Conrad, Matt, and Sidwell. And we're actually busy talking about the fourth industrial revolution and IoT devices. We actually watched a clip earlier on that describes how an IoT device would work, which is now, in that case, it was a car. So guys, what do you think about that clip? Sidwell, tell me, what do you think?
It's obviously modern technology is quite scary for most people, right? You see all these driverless cars and all these fancy devices.
Yeah.
But the ordinary man in the street needs to interact with those devices somehow.
Yeah.
And without a easy interface, it's very difficult, right? And that is what we essentially trying it with Bequest and the cryptocurrency wallet. We're essentially trying to make it easier for people to interact with these
devices.
These devices, right? lots of times, what is actually missing from the whole equation is how do we actually monetize our interactions, right?
Yeah. Especially in micropayment
Yes,
wise. How do you
because
do that?
because yes, people seem to forget that the reason why Facebook, Google, and Amazon and all of those huge companies are successful is because essentially we are the product.
Yep.
Right? They actually monetize all the little interactions that we have
that
with
we
them.
have,
Right?
which is
So
advertisements and stuff, yeah.
all our data essentially, all our personal
being sold.
information is being sold, yes, to advertisers, and for the ordinary man to now start actually monetizing their own personal information, they need to somehow get involved in that whole economy. Some of that
Some of that
revenue
money that-
that Facebook and Google and all of those companies generate should actually go
Back to the people
to-
that are actually their information is being sold, so that at least they get some kind of compensation for
That's
what they.
correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
And that will level the playing field. But and obviously it's a long-term project. But essentially, a key ingredient would be to start having a personal wallet where somebody now can actually start collecting those micropayments, like you said, from these IoT devices, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we are going to be the slaves.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Without even knowing it.
Yes, correct. And that is key, because remember, the world isn't free. Right? Everything costs money.
Yeah.
So all these nice fancy gadgets and all these driverless cars, etc., etc., they all cost money.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is one way that we can start incentivizing and
Yeah,
monetizing.
incentivizing us being replaced by machines also
That's right.
from the fourth industrial revolution. That's actually, that's not a bad idea. I love it. Matthew, tell us more. What do you think about that clip?
About the clip?
Yeah,
Yep, that was
specifically.
that was a fairly
Was it a good description?
yeah, it was a fairly I think IoT is sort of like a huge umbrella term. In some
Yeah.
ways, it's a bit of a buzzword just so someone can relate the concept. But essentially, it is a connected device that transmits data, and the fact that you can draw data from so many different sources means you can have like quite a deep understanding of what's happening inside systems instead of just having an overview. So in terms of optimization of like processes or production lines or pretty much anything, you can just get a really neat view of what's actually happening inside.
So the historical information that these devices store can actually be used to actually improve the product and help it
so
do and help us do a better job.
Yeah, so I think I feel like you can broadly split IoT into three categories. So you have the device side, which is actually getting the data from the field out to a server somewhere. Then you have the data processing side, which was shown quite well, where because data by itself is useless. You need to see, like, can we build a model? Can we make predictions? Can we see what's happened? Can we stop errors happening now? And then the third side would be the sort of actuation side, or the control of the environment. So like now we know this is happening. What do we change in the environment? So you have like a sensing IoT device and a sort of actuating IoT device.
Awesome.
That's sort of,
Yeah, awesome. Conrad, what did you think?
Sure. Well, so way too much to give to you in one sentence.
Yeah,
So,
take it.
well,
yeah,
what
tell
I
us more.
find interesting is that there's a whole ecosystem, and most people are only aware of a small part of that ecosystem. If you look at a device like this, is a LoRa modem.
Oh yeah, it's quite small.
It has a processor that can make decisions or do calculations. It has some memory, and it also has a radio, so it can communicate
In
with
that
radio
small
waves.
device right
well,
there.
that's a different device. But the key thing is, there's more than 10 companies that have contributed to the development of this one
that,
board.
yeah.
Only one company assembled it, but there's even the CPU, the processor, was made by one company, and the ideas behind the processor was made by another company. It's two separate companies. The way it works was invented by another company, and they licensed that information to another company to make processors. So more than 10 companies, and probably more than 100, maybe even 1,000 people have contributed to this being here.
Wow.
And that's what I love about the world that we live in today is we have all these building blocks on the table, not only devices, but also ideas, economic systems, political systems.
Yeah.
And all the building blocks are there. It's up to us to understand them and to put them together in a way that's going to improve our lives. And the important thing is that it's just the sum of a lot of simple things. And all we need is to learn and to communicate and to share.
Yeah.
And that's how the world is going to grow.
Okay, awesome. So, guys, I know that we spoke a bit about the singularity in the fourth industrial revolution. I just want an opinion from any of you guys. What do you think the fifth industrial revolution would be, if ever that had to happen?
So, the singularity is what people refer to as when you're using machines to create better machines, and they become smarter, and eventually have a machine that's as smart as a human.
Yeah.
But in a way, we can already see what that will give us because we already have a world full of smart humans. So it will just be machines that can do what humans can do.
Yeah.
But eventually, those machines can become even smarter, and we can have one machine that's as smart as all of humanity together, theoretically.
Wow.
And then what's going to happen then? So, but I think there's a growing process. It seems that the world goes through cycles of decentralization and centralization. And the real question is, before we get to that point, we will get machines that can be controlled by people, and who are those people going to be?
Yeah.
And are enough people going to be able to compete on a level playing field?
Awesome. So guys, we actually have to go to an ad break. We'll continue with this conversation with Conrad and the rest of my panel here. So see you after the break. And guys, we're back from the break. We were busy talking about the fourth industrial revolution, but what would it be if it was the fifth industrial revolution thereafter? So Conrad was still talking, so just continue. What do you think would be the end? Is it information? What is it?
Well, thinking about that reminds me of something that Ray Kurzweil, I think, coined about epochs of information.
Yeah.
And according to him, the whole world is in a trajectory of exponential growth. And this is just like everything we're experiencing is just a symptom on that journey.
Wow.
So I don't think there'll be a major revolution that will change us significantly, but we will have a choice of whether we want to become cyborgs or whether we want to remain human.
Wow. So I know you have an opinion about the fifth industrial revolution, if I would say. What do you think?
Yeah. Right. I mean, there's obviously a lot can be said for the technology side. Right? I mean, all this fancy technology, the planes and the computers and the cell phones and the cars that we're all going to have. But what happens to the ordinary man in the street? Right?
Yep.
How do they now participate in this fifth generation? Right? What happens when there's a singularity and now you have a computer that is smarter than the smartest human?
Yeah.
Right?
What happens?
What political decisions will be made? Who is going to get the scarce resources? Who's going to have access to the electricity?
So
who's going to have
that?
access?
Yeah.
That is why the emphasis, my understanding is that the emphasis of economic freedom should actually be central to this whole question, right? How do we essentially bring economic freedom to the world? If we don't do that, then all the technological gains will essentially be wasted.
Yeah.
Right? We will end up having a technocratic class which essentially controls.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean,
and you think that would be Bitcoin Cash, or what do you think?
Yes,
that would sort that problem.
I definitely think some way of making economics especially microeconomics,
Yeah.
available to the ordinary man in the street is essential to try and level the playing field, right? So the moment for an ordinary person to interact with these technologies, essentially they are blocked because of the technological barrier.
Yeah.
Right? But if we can incentivize people via economics, so, and probably the easiest way of doing that is via a web app,
Yeah.
via a currency that they can then spend and interact with. And lots of ways, Bitcoin Cash
Yep.
has the technological means,
capabilities.
because it's essentially free, free to transact with. It's extremely fast,
Yeah.
and has the scale essentially to make these micropayments.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So let's talk about these devices, guys. Tell me more. Matt, I know that you know quite a bit about these devices. I want to know about ARM as well. I've heard a bit about ARM and that it's a faster processor than other processors. That's why phones have become so fast at doing their job. But yeah, tell me more. What are these? What's this middle meter here? Because I've seen that maybe on my...
So this is this is a single phase power meter. So you would, it's powered by a current clamp, but you'd basically put it in line with, for example, your mains connection, and you can measure how much power is flowing through your house and measure the frequency and voltage.
So that's essentially a smaller version of the power box where you
Yeah.
have to type in your code every month.
Yeah, so it's like the power box,
is
but
it?
like uncontrolled.
But just
so there's no
uncontrolled.
control, so it just measures. It doesn't.
Oh, it
stop the
doesn't actually
circuit
stop
ever.
it. Okay.
Does it send the information anywhere?
No, it doesn't. Which is actually, IoT itself can be quite fun because it's a bit like Lego at this stage. It's like so much stuff has been made. So, say for example, I'm measuring my power, but then I don't know. Maybe I follow Conrad's business model and want to measure all my neighbors' power and have them. So all I need to do is, well, I'd start off. These are actually the same chips,
Okay.
but this has all the pins exposed. So
So it's just easier to do.
yeah, so I hook up the
use.
wires and I write software to communicate between these two.
Okay.
And then, so just with this, I can send the data out into the internet.
Is it a difficult thing to do?
No, if
If you know software engineering?
I mean, even if you don't, it's not difficult
Is
at
it?
this.
Okay.
With
So
this
you can actually get the code online probably.
You can pretty much get the code online.
Okay, that's why.
And it's a
I
good way
would
to
say
learn.
you can learn from knowing nothing about computers to being able to do that in a few months.
Wow.
If you
Yeah.
dedicate it. Maybe even a few weeks if you
So it's
really-
moving that fast, eh?
Well, it's just the
Like the education
well,
part
that's
of it
the
and the
problem is
integratability.
almost that there's too much information. You don't know which
Oh,
information
which
is
to
on your
use.
level.
And that's the difficult part. Maybe you should start something like that where you tell people, this is the easiest way to start and that's the most difficult. But tell me more about the Raspberry Pi and Arduino. What's the difference between the two?
So, well, they
It's essentially the speed.
yeah,
Okay.
it's basically just a smaller computer. But because it's smaller, for example,
Which
a
one's
Raspberry Pi you can plug into like a monitor and you can use it as a normal
As a computer and play games on a small
So
thing
for,
like that.
for what, $600
Yeah.
plus the price of a keyboard and a mouse, another $100.
Yeah.
Plus an old screen somewhere, you can have a computer
Yeah,
for
you
under
just have a
$1,000.
computer.
For under 1,000.
And you can connect IoT devices to
Yeah.
it and,
and
play
build.
with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you know that you can build a 3D printer with that?
With that.
But you don't even need to build it yourself. You can buy one for under R1,000 nowadays. A printer that
It's
can print any piece of plastic in any shape.
Yeah, and in fact, I've heard this whole thing about these 3D printers that can actually print your lungs and organs and the heart and stuff. I just recently saw that, and apparently that's going to be happening in the next 5 to 10 years. So you're telling me that you're going to be able to make your own heart, and
Not for the R1,000.
maybe you don't know, but anyway, we'll see
Well,
about that.
But I
So,
think
yeah?
Sidwell touched on an important thing, though,
Yeah.
is will anybody be able to afford this?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
But again, we have the building blocks for the economic
Yeah.
and political
Yeah.
systems and technology, and it's just about us to form our own little organizations and
And
develop
make it
our own
happen.
ideas and test things and,
Yeah.
and show the world what works.
Yeah. So guys, actually, I'm supposed to wrap up now. Sidwell, where do we get a hold of you?
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Sidwell at. In fact, my Twitter handle is just Sidwell.
At Sidwell.
Oh,
Awesome.
no, just Sidwell, yes.
Yeah.
And obviously you can follow us on bequest.co.za. That is our main website.
Our main website. Yeah.
Where we will start
So-
launching our wallet
Soon. Yeah. Okay, guys. So I have to wrap up now. So thanks for watching us and all of that. I'll see you guys soon.